You know what I love about indie music?
What do you like about his stuff?
It grooves me, it soothes me, it takes me to another level. It makes me feel so good. Indie music. Welcome to the indie music show. Indie music. Everybody, it's the indie show. Indie music. Here we have the indie music show. Indie music. Here and now, the indie music show. Welcome to the Indie Music Show with your hosts, Stephanie Jeannot and
Johnny J.
So what's up, everybody? I want to thank you all for joining us for this special edition of the Indie Music Show. And I say special because Johnny J and myself, we released an album together that came out on October 10th. And I want to say thank you, Johnny, because, me and my obsessive, impulsive behavior during this whole thing, I became hermitish. I was obsessed with trying to get the songs, because once we said we're doing a project, I was like, all right, and I just set off a tangent. And it was like every day I'm sending you songs until it was like, I know it became overwhelming because it was like every night it was like, here's 2 more songs, here's this, here's that. And I was like,
well, I mean, first of all, the songwriting process was very enjoyable, but you really had the passion that you wanted to sound just perfect, particularly with some certain particular songs, getting like the perfect bass tones, to match, the content and everything of the different, because there's like a wide variety of different lyrical content and a wide variety of subgenres. If you listen to this record in full, amongst those 13 songs.
I know. Well, I was coming from different places. Like, for instance, like the first song on the album is entitled Working Woman Blues. So it came from a personal place because there was a time I was working in an office and then I did see a whole department get laid off before my eyes. So it was just like, and how many people can say that they can relate to that? Like, for instance, the airline industry just laid off thousands of employees, you know what I'm saying? So it's something that people can relate to. And co-workers leaving with all these boxes, one by one every day. Now you got us undistractedly working like it's the child keeping strategy. So a little puff outside. Excuse me, do you have a light to burn off these working woman blues?
It's very fitting. I think the title, and the title, the lyrical content, and the musical vibes definitely explain and tell just all kinds of various topics of life, events, and also particularly current events, and some very vital, important issues, that we've gone through this past year and stuff.
Yeah, like love is the matter, because
exactly.
Love is the matter. The whole thing of this, if you say Black Lives Matter, people have a problem. If they say all lives matter, they have a problem. You can't win. It's like, love is the matter. Like, just love everybody. Stop making it a black and white thing. It's not a gender thing. It's not a sexuality thing. All people deserve to be loved, no matter whether you're a kid, whether you're adults, whether you're black, whether you're white, whether you're male, whether you're female. Love is the matter. Love should be an agape thing that is spread throughout the world, and people should just respect each other for who they are, regardless of culture, religion, or anything else. Because at the end of the day, we all sit down to poop. We all are born, and we all die. So there's nothing different between us all. We all share the same similarities.
That's right. Stop pointing fingers and put them back in your pockets. It's like, ready, set, point. Just because.
So
You know?
exactly. And since you all already are familiar, I think, with Love is the Matter because it's been out for a little while, and for those who have not heard it yet, here is the first tune we're going to share is called Love is the Matter because love is the matter. And I love you all for listening and for being a part of this indie music show thing. So we'll be right back with more conversation about this record.
You and I, you are.
Flock together in harmony, love and unity. Yeah. Love is the matter. It's all about love. Too much blood has splattered for the world. Search unity on a platter. Gotta change world. Love is the matter. If we all were united, stop the prejudice and racism. To make this a global moving, grooving thing. Rearrange for a positive change, yeah. So let's resolve the differences and have respect for your fellow man. Then we would see clearly for the good of humanity. Yeah. Come as one and storm the weather. Like birds flock together in harmony, love and unity. Love is the matter. Love is a fight. Too much blood has splattered. We need to come together. Yeah. Serve unity on a platter. Time for unity. World love is the matter. So many questions got me up tonight, thinking about life. Still can't understand why, after all of this time, we can't be unified. Hatred over color of skin. Another brother lost his life again. Why can't we see the beauty in diversity? Why do we limit love? Why can't we come together as one and rise up in love? Another news report shocking ice, scaring the kids from going outside. When will prejudices be over? Why must we carry this on our shoulders? Another family loses a son over hatred and racism. But when will all of this be done so we can rise up in love? I can't even sleep with this hurt inside. So much confusion that it's making me cry. I'm praying for a change for the world tonight. Now is the time. We can't go on the way things are. We must share love with all human hearts and come together as one world. Let there be peace on earth. Let's rise up in love. Something's gotta change. Share the love and come together as one world. Let there be peace on earth. And rise up in love. Let's rise up in love. Gotta share the love. The world needs love. Everybody deserves respect, love, and why can't we see the beauty in diversity? Love.
So the second song you heard was Rise Up, which was the first ballad I ever wrote, and it's also on the topic of just like, you know, people don't realize when somebody does say Black Lives Matter, it's because Black lives haven't mattered for such a long time. And look at the events of George Floyd or Breonna Taylor, and her murderers are still not convicted of anything, or you know what I'm saying? And it's like, if had it been the shoe on the other foot, it would have been a whole different story. And you know, justice has never been an equal thing. So that was one of the reasons why Rise Up became a song.
I've always been confused by the whole oxymoron of justice is blind and, you know, Lady Justice with her blindfold on.
Right.
Because it's like, well, who decides? Who is beyond the law, you know? Like, who's beyond the law? Who's above the law? You know? and it's just, and it makes you wonder. That's one thing, and it makes you wonder beyond that, like how many true innocent people, have been incarcerated or in the past have been executed for crimes that they hadn't committed at all. So events like that, songs, ballads like that, your lyrics, and it doesn't only make me think of those events. They make me think of subsidiary events like that as well.
Well, think about this though. Like, it says another news report shocking eyes scaring the kids from going outside. And when they did see a story about somebody putting their knee on somebody's neck, how many people looked at that and got afraid? Like, that could be me.
Yeah. It's I gotta say, this particular year of 2020. It's like, you see a lot of the most horrible things like that and violence in the movies or even in TV shows here in my city, here in Chicago PD. But the harsh reality is this stuff does happen.
It does.
And, even, myself, I think, I've getting pulled over, you never know, there's so many different scenarios that I've, had. I mean, of course, there's professionals that treat, somebody if they're going to give them a speeding ticket or whatever in a professional manner and channel, but then there's got, people just automatically using foul language and, and already making threats and, going beyond your Miranda and constitutional rights and things like that as well. But if more and more people, too, are so afraid and scared. I mean, we have grandmothers wanting to get, guns just for protections. They're like, oh, my God, look what I'm seeing on the news. And, some people, you might know, just quiet, small, like petite school teachers. I don't know, like some of your fellow colleagues that you teach with, they might be strapped just because this past year scared the hell out of them,
Well, maybe that's a Chicago thing, but let me tell you about Brooklyn.
Okay.
See? No. You hear about that funkalicious stuff going on in Chicago all the time. Brooklyn. No, I'm just kidding. Because Brooklyn has the same kind of stuff, But overall, like, Brooklyn is just, like, the place to be. Like.
Well, I think you have plenty of evidence to prove that, because I think it was introduced that it's the borough is the city itself.
It is, and let me tell you something. When we were talking about like putting together a song, and you came up with this bass line. Remember when we were sitting down and brainstorming on songs, and we did like a Zoom or something, and you were like, "How about this bass line?" I was like, maybe we could do a song called "I Write in Brooklyn." Remember, because I have a T-shirt that says "I Write in Brooklyn."
That's right.
Yeah.
Yep.
But then I came up with, I was like, sitting down writing it, I was like, yeah, that makes sense to say Brooklyn. Ain't no other place like Brooklyn, as opposed to I Write in Brooklyn. Because there ain't no other place like Brooklyn.
No, I know. I know you can't relate to that place. I know, and also to you, it'll always be home to you, and it's home to, MC greats such as the Notorious B.I.G. And parts in the video, of course, as our viewers were like, it was, they can see, is it Christopher Wallace Drive or Boulevard or Street, or which one?
Christopher Wallace Place. Now, the thing of, like, Fort Greene, he grew up in Fort Greene, and his house, I believe, was on St. James Place, right? So, like, if you come around that area, every single storefront, I'm telling you, I'm not kidding, there's a mural with his picture or something that relates to him. And I'm like, wow, like, you just walk down, like, Fulton Street, and you start off, like, right from Washington. You see his mural. You go down St. James. They have his face on it. Across the street from there, there's a mural that says, "It was all a dream." I'm like, everywhere you look, they renamed the park. The ballpark where they play basketball is called Christopher Wallace Courts. It's like, yeah.
So he played ball down there?
I don't know if he played ball down there. I'm pretty sure, like, when he was growing up, he probably did, maybe. I mean, his life was so short, so it's like you didn't really get to
Yeah.
know too much about him, but
Right.
yeah.
That's which is misfortunate. You know, all the good ones go early, unfortunately.
But it's good to be able to celebrate your local hero, you know? Like,
Yeah.
like not far from there, they have the Old Dirty Bastard mural. You know, they have murals all over Brooklyn. Like, if you come to, especially like Williamsburg, it's like there's a mural like every other 3 feet. There's a new mural. It's beautiful, like all over.
Well, I mean, you even go by, one of my favorite cities, Minneapolis. You even go by the man that created the Minneapolis sound, Prince himself. You would encounter one in Brooklyn there.
Yeah, I know.
That can be seen in the video.
That's right.
Which was very nice, and not shocking at all either. I mean, Brooklyn, it seems to have a huge vibe of the arts. Everybody, like some of the Pain has You With Dog and has a man breakdancing. So, it gets to show a lot of it. Even culinary arts. It shows you enjoying a very nice ice cream cone. So, so if you don't have a mic in your hand, you will have an ice cream cone in your hand.
And you know what, though? It's so funny. Like I can buy a whole carton of ice cream and then, like, take one bowl, and then I won't touch the box for the next 3 months, and it just spoils. Because I'm not really a milk person. Like, I don't like milk at all. So.
That's right, yeah. But, ice cream tastes good. It's not exactly
It does.
Again, and there's so many different flavors, and there's so many different types. You have ice cream itself, you have sherbet, you have, yogurt, you have custard.
No, I'm a chocolate chip cookie dough person, though. That's
that's pretty damn good, yes. What was it, every summer, I think Dairy Queen has, like, that, cheesecake blizzard thing,
Oh, that sounds good.
Yeah, and Sonic has something similar. Okay, I'm going to have to get some ice cream after the show. But, but my favorite of all time, and this is great on a hot summer day, in Rock Island, Illinois, the town that I grew up in, is Whitey's Ice Cream, and they have watermelon sherbet. Shout out to Whitey's out there. It's a hometown favorite amongst everybody. It's like, so in the parade, so how you and I were supposed to play in the Labor Day parade,
right?
This year, that float would have been right behind us, and they throw out like ice cream bars and popsicles and stuff like that, ice cream cups, and you'll have to experience that particular taste of culinary art. But yeah, this video definitely spread all kinds of Brooklyn, love the Brooklyn way, and it's very colorful. A lot of, you got to see a lot of places. You got to see a lot of the citizens, and pedestrians just hanging around, and they participated in the video, which was very nice.
So what we're going to do is play the song Brooklyn so you could hear what we're talking about. And we'll be right back.
Brooklyn, the borough that's really a city. Stand up.
Brooklyn is the place to be. Been to so many cities, decoding the world's mysteries. There is so much more to see. Brooklyn's where the party's at. If you've been there, then you know that. To know it's to love it. Ain't no other place like Brooklyn.
Is Brooklyn in the house? Is Brooklyn in the house? Where's Brooklyn? Where's Brooklyn at? Where's Brooklyn at? Is Brooklyn in the house? Is Brooklyn in the house? Where's Brooklyn? Where's Brooklyn at?
When I think about Brooklyn, I think of the place that I was born and raised. It's where I call home. You ought to know. I'm a Brooklynite and I vibe on the flapper streets. I walk through Prospect Park to the Brooklyn beat of drummers pounding their fists on their instruments, or by the Academy of Music at the African Dance Fest. People chilling up and down Coney Island. You might catch me on the sand with a notebook just writing, or on the stage singing at Basquiat's Bottle, or late night at the promenade watching New York City sparkle. From Fort Hamilton east to Bushwick, you can get your feet wet by the dopeness, with things to make you love it. all around, from the Belt to King's Plaza, then north to downtown. The West Indian Day Parade and the music on the streets. Summer festivals at Mega bringing you jazz heat. Not many can deny that once you know the New York place, memories of your experience cannot be erased. But if it's all new to you, you ought to know the truth. I'm telling you based on my knowledge and my view. I've been to many places along my travels. I've seen good days and bad and quite a few battles. So I'm keeping it at 100 to tell you that I love it. Spreading love the Brooklyn way with all the madness, because Brooklyn is where it's at. Shout out to all the BK cats.
Brooklyn is the place to be.
Yes, it is, yo.
Decoding the world's mysteries. There's so much more to see.
So much to see.
If you've been there, then you know that to know is to love it. Ain't no other place like Brooklyn.
Is Brooklyn in the house? Is Brooklyn in the house? Where's Brooklyn? Where's Brooklyn at? Where's Brooklyn at? Is Brooklyn in the house? Is Brooklyn in the house? Where's Brooklyn? Where's Brooklyn at?
Brooklyn is the place to be. There's so many things. Decoding the world's mysteries. There is so much more to see. Brooklyn's where the party's at. If you've been there, then you know that to know is to love it. Ain't no other place like Brooklyn.
So much to love.
Brooklyn.
You know what I'm talking about. Hey. It stays a part of you. You know it's true. Hey.
Boy, you got me thinking about you. You should know that I always do. Kisses are like 95 proof. So potent is your love. So intoxicated by your love. You say things that I never heard. I'm so inspired by every word. Just one touch of your love quenches my thirst. So potent is your love. So intoxicated by your love. Being around me sets my heart on fire. I'm so addicted to you. You got me wired. Now I got so much desire. So potent is your love. 95 proof, intoxicated by your love.
You got so much attention to give. You show me that I can trust in this love. Is your love so intoxicated by your love? Fill my cup with your love. I'm a lush for your love. If I prove, fill my cup with your love. I wanna cover. I'm a lush for your love. Yeah. So potent is your love. Intoxicated by your love. You make me feel bubbly and a little tipsy. So potent is your love. So intoxicated by your love. Fill my cup with your love. I'm a lush for your love. If I prove, fill my cup with your love. I'm a lush for your love. So potent is your love. So intoxicated by your love. You make me feel bubbly and a little tipsy. So potent is your love. So intoxicated by your love. Fill my cup with your love. I'm a lush for your love. If I prove, fill my cup with your love. I'm a lush for your love. So potent is your love. So intoxicated by your love.
You are tuned in to the Indie Music Show, which airs each and every Tuesday evening from 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time to 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on the English Connection Media with your hosts, Stephanie Jeannot and
Johnny J.
So the last tune you just heard was Intoxicated by Your Love. And that song comes from experience too, because I used to be a lush.
You? No, I can't. When you first told me that you I'm like, no, I don't think so. Not at all. I think you sip on kitty cocktails. I can't see you as, nah. And then you also said you used to smoke a pack and a half of cigarettes. Like, no way. Especially with the pipes that you got. It's totally unbelievable.
I did. I used to have a trophy case of empty bottles. I used to chief them in Newport 100s, and I used to go through them like it was
Yikes.
nothing.
Man, that's crazy. Wow. So do tell about the main muse here for Intoxicated by Your Love here. It was you're a self-proclaimed lush, you say.
Well,
which they say that's always difficult to talk about. I mean, it's difficult to confess. First of all, did you have that complication?
You know what? Like, I mean, I like to drink. I used to like to drink. I haven't drank in it'll be 7 years on January 1st.
Well,
since I had my last drink. But when I used to drink, I was always like, I used to drink a lot. And the thing about it is that, as a musician, when you're on a stage, like, you get off, and what do people want to do? The patrons that's watching. Would you like a drink? Like, let me tell you what happened to me the other day. It's so crazy. Like, I went to the promenade because I was like, I'm talking about the promenade in Brooklyn, and I just never captured any shots of it. I mean, just to see it. So I went over there, and it was the most beautiful sunset. But then I saw, like, people are looking at me like, what you doing? So I saw this family that just walked on. I said, hey, I'm doing a little video for this song that I have called Brooklyn, right? So I said, I just want to know if I could take a cameo of y'all, just being your normal selves. And they were like, okay. So they did it. And then afterwards, I said thank you, and I gave them one of my CDs and my card. I said, this is, I'm an artist, and this is what it's for. Do you know that they paid me for the CD, and I was giving it to them? I don't know why I felt so happy and sentimental.
Wow.
But they actually paid me for it, and it wasn't that I was giving it to them to pay for it. I was giving it to them.
Right, yeah. It's like, hey, well, then, There you go. Listen to it. You got you got the best audio medium right here, and you're just giving it to them on your gratitude for their compliments and stuff. So that's nice. Wow. Yeah. So my particular on that track, as you've heard me say this trillions of times now, but I'm a big fan of your harmonies.
Thank you.
Yeah, totally. I think a lot of people that I've shared, like, well, this is one of my favorite songs on a record that we've done, since we've released it just a couple days ago. And, they're like, oh, yeah, that gives me goosebumps and stuff, too. And, especially when you listen to it with headphones. I mean, you get, of course, us musicians listen to everything. I know you listen to everything with headphones a trillion times, like, no, I'm going to get up at 3 in the morning, and then I'm going to mix this again.
No, but the problem is that you have that headphones on and it blocks out the world. It's kind of like you become hermitish. It really is. Like you're a hermit. It's crazy. But as far as the harmonies go, like Vibrations was one of the hardest songs to sing because it goes from major to minor. So like when you're listening to it, like I think the verse is in major and the chorus goes to minor. So when you get to the chorus, it makes it sound like, no, I'm singing it wrong. No, I have to go back
you might feel that way,
times
but
to do it over.
Orally, in terms of audio, I don't think so. It just adds that extra interval, but it doesn't necessarily. It's not a crime. It's not like, water and vinegar. It's for this particular song, it worked. You chose the right interval and they work together, therefore you use it. Even though, there's suggested chords, but remember, notes in music is like mathematics. It's infinite. What's the highest number in the world? It's one of those situations. Some guitarists will like look back at you with like just absolute fury if you're a bass player and you're playing chords. I play fifth chords, I play seventh chords, I play like a C minor sixth, whatever, something like that. But there's ways to make it work and it sounds good. You may recall in the James Brown film, when they're in New Orleans and he calls a rehearsal to everybody upstairs, and he's explaining the whole downbeat theory. They're like, you can't, you're like, because of such taught, music, like what's right, what's wrong. He's like, well, does this feel like it flows okay? Like, well, yeah, well, then there you go. It's fitting for a song, basically. It's natural, it's organic. There's some musicians, like Jimi Hendrix and Paul McCartney. Paul McCartney still says to this day he doesn't know how to read music, but I'm sure he has some kind of idea. But some people have no idea about theory at all. Flea from the Red Hot Chili Peppers, at least in the early 90s, he did this bass instructional video with, I want to say it was, he's unfortunately deceased now, but he wanted to say Joaquin Phoenix, but it's not Joaquin Phoenix. It was, anyway, but the point is, like, he says he didn't know a damn thing about music theory. Like him and the guitar player John Frusciante would just always just like, okay, Middle C's here, let's jam on this, and then he's just the most slap happy, like, and then he played trumpet prior to that, so trumpet was his first instrument. So and he loved Louis Armstrong, so you would imagine a lot of theory would have been applied to that prior to him playing the bass, and he came from a musical family. His dad was an upright bass player.
Okay.
So again, so like your use of, when you switch to that minor chord, it still blends. It's just a discovery, There's no rules on it.
No, I tell you, my ear has grown a lot doing this. It's like, because, once you start putting your mind into that place of getting the theoretical aspects of an art, it's like a whole different thing. So like it builds you as
Well, look
Like
at
it builds
okay, look
you.
at painting. Like, you know, you have Da Vinci's Mona Lisa. You might go in an art museum and you'll see something like that, you know, and then you might see something like Picasso, or better yet, or in this case, maybe worse yet, you'll just have a piece of paper and a dot, and that's considered art. Still, both are considered art because it's just the expression. You know? I'm serious. I mean, that's, you know, I remember for one of my art formed class, I think I did that. I did like this paper on it, you know, saying, yeah, that can be art because it's just a very simplistic expression, you know. Mona Lisa is like kind of like a, you know, this is before photography, but, you know, photos, it's all expression, it's all art, you know, all different forms, you know, sculpting, you know, photography, and of course music.
That's one of the reasons why I love jazz. Like jazz is considered
Yes.
art, and and then you see how freebase of art it is. It's like, you know, it does have structure, but when people like Buddy Bolden were doing it, it was based on what came out of their heart. You know, that was jazz. That is jazz. It comes out the heart. It's like when you're doing, I would say, bebop or freedom jazz. It comes out the heart. It's like it's not constrained to the swing, because it became a swing thing. It's not, but it was really more of a freedom of expression thing, because without our expression, we didn't have an identity. So we got an identity through the instruments.
Jazz in theory or in definition is improv.
And one of the reasons why I wrote "You Are the One" at first was written. The title was Manhattan Proper at first, because there was a place called Manhattan Proper that my mentor, Wayne Holmes, used to be like the main act there every Monday and Wednesday. But on his Wednesday gig, you know, it was jazz, pure jazz, and then he invited me to be the featured singer every week. But I was never a jazz singer. I grew up in the Catholic church singing Catholic hymns, and then like I was exposed to R&B and stuff, so that's why I knew. I didn't really know jazz until he introduced it to me, and then, you know, it became a thing for me. Like I really started to love it a lot. So that was why the song "You Are the One" was created. It was kind of to celebrate his life. I should have said that in celebration of Wayne Holmes.
Passion and positive energy. You are a distraction from the world around me. You stand out from the crowd and love me as I am. I'm imperfect in every way, but still you hold my hand. I could be weighed down by life, but then I look into your eyes and experience pockets of joy, because you are that boy. You are the one that I'm loving. Makes me feel wonderful. I love who you
are. It's very nice for you to keep in mind when you compose this, you know, and on top of that, I'm glad we were able to blend such good, you know, jazzy instrumentals around it, you know, very swingy and snappy instrumentals around your jazzy voice. Now, I think, you know, like, listeners, if they heard you sing that, you know, that song, I mean, they primarily would think that you're like a jazz natural singer. They were like, oh no, like, I'm not a jazz singer, I'm an R&B singer, or I'm like a, you know, gospel singer or whatever. I think they, you know, you have quite the voice for several genres, but if you play a jazz gig singing just like that, it's quite profound.
Oh, thank you.
Oh, definitely. Yeah, for sure. So, excellent job. I mean, making this record with you was fantastic, and I'm so glad we were able to be so productive and maybe discover some really cool bass lines, and then just different drum beats and different other things like that too.
There was a peculiar sound that you added to Haitian, and I liked it.
Yeah.
Like it just gave it that, the Caribbean vibe, and it added it. It was like really cool.
Well, thank you. Yeah, that basically, it was just real subtle, chords what I did on it, but believe it or not, it's kind of it was just a little bit of chorus, and then Jimi Hendrix is known, one of his favorite pedals was the Univibe, that kind of gave it like that vibrato sound, or kind of like a Leslie speaker, like if you haven't had an organ, you kind of connect it to this, those rotating speakers. So it's just a real subtle, the effect's real subtle, but I kind of just sustained it a little bit, and to what you sent me, I thought, like, you know what, I think this might go really well, with the concoction, and I'm glad you liked it. I felt like you could feel either way about it, but I'm glad it blended well. And then so I mean, that's an Asian too. Like that's just the songs are all over the spectrum. I mean, take like I said, a driven song like Brooklyn, then you take like a song like Haitian, that tells some metaphoric stories, and then you have like your ballad, of Rise Up, and you go gospel, you go funk, you go R&B, you spit some mad rhymes like on Brooklyn also, and a lot of people are a big fan of you emceeing, so I hope you do it more in the future.
You're so funny. We're going to take a break, and we're going to play this song, Haitian, and we'll be right back.
It's all peace. I feel so in peace and I wanna get with it. Harmony. So dance with me if you feel it. Move your feet to the joy of the music. This melody. I'll be in a good place right now. It's all peace. Alive and holding it down. Harmony. And I'm enjoying the sound. Move your feet of the music. Vibrations of melody. I've got the joy in me, giving me energy. Come on and sing with me. Vibrations of peace.
Hey everybody, I want to thank you all for tuning in to today's episode of the Indie Music Show with your hosts, Stephanie Jeannot and
Johnny J.
So I hope that you guys would feel the urge to go and listen to the whole entire album. It's available on Spotify, Apple Music, Tidal, iHeartRadio, all those sites, Google Music, everywhere that music streams, basically. And you can find it, the title is The Stephanie Jeannot and the John Mueller Project. But you can find it under our names, Stephanie Jeannot, STEPHANIE, JEANNOT, or John Mueller, which is JOHN. Spell your last name, MU.
Mueller.
And
then also coming pretty soon too, to a show near you, we'll have it in its physical sense of compact disc if you prefer. As am I. I prefer.
Yeah. So, one thing I would say is that, during the quarantine, quietude can be very loud because you have to listen to just quiet space and.
Yeah, that's the noisiest noise ever.
And being so
Seriously.
quiet, just hearing all the quietness is very
noises.
loud. Yeah, it's loud because you're like, I'm craving sound. I'm craving the energy. I'm craving just being out there. So when you get an opportunity to vibe in an area with something that could just touch your soul or just uplift your spirit and just fulfill your heart and change your mindset like music has. It kind of just helped me to survive it mentally and spiritually and emotionally.
Totally. Yep, I concur. Especially if you're trying to, when I go to sleep at night, I either try to, I go to bed with a fan for background noise or rain sounds or just light jazz, just some kind of background noise. But I left this hotel recently when we were in Detroit, and it was just so still. And actually, it gets better or worse. Because we were right next to this banquet hall, and there was a wedding or there was a party or something, reception, so they had a booming system in there, and whoever the sound engineer was great. But anyway, so that was loud till about 12 or 1, and then it was just silent. And I was just oh my God, it's way too quiet. So I think that whole trip I got 3 hours of sleep.
I'll never forget, it was 2 weeks after the quarantine started, and I was I took a walk to go to the supermarket, and it was just this is the most quiet and empty I've ever seen a Brooklyn street. You never see it as empty as it is now, right now. But at that day, it was just no cars, no nothing. It was just quiet, dead quiet. So I saw this one person. I'm life. So I was oh, good morning. I mean, we all have our mask on. Good morning. And they looked at me with the meanest look, like I was crazy. And I I said, okay. Oh, I got a joke.
Oh, yes.
What would happen to you if a piano fell from 10 feet high on you?
A piano falling on me 10 feet high. I am not sure. What would happen?
You'd be flat.
Oh, my gosh. I can't pretend that's a bad joke because that is an awesome bad joke. Okay, so I have one in retort for you.
Okay.
Why should you not snort peppers?
Why?
They'll be jalapeno business.
Oh my goodness. one thing that one person that does know how to give good comedy relief is Bruff the Entertainer, and I have to say, like, I'm thankful that he decided that he would help us with this project because, like, you know, he's quite the entertainer. Like, if you go to a event and he's on the stage, he'll either make
Yeah,
he'll make
I really enjoyed him as a guest too. You know, I would really like to go to like one of his comedy acts, or so hopefully I make it out east there. Soon.
Well, his comedy act is combined with his artistry as an entertainer.
Right.
So he's like a hype man. And that's one of the things like I appreciated about Friday night, or just the idea of Friday night, because the tension of the work week, going into the weekend and being able to just celebrate the weekend is something.
That's right.
Yeah. So we're gonna I want to thank you all for listening. We're going to end the show today with our song Friday Night. And I hope that you go and check out the full-length album on anywhere that music streams.
And if you're on YouTube, check out the videos we got for Brooklyn, of course. Love is the matter. Lots of important messages there and moving forward.
Yes, thank you so much for listening. And we hope that you join us next week for another episode of The Indie Music Show. Peace, everyone.
Peace and love, community, everyone.
It's Friday night. I'm ready to get loose. Y'all ready to get loose? Come on, to get with it, let's get it. Let's go!
It's Friday night and I'm feeling right. Got no work in the morning time and I am free. Work so hard 5 days of the week. Subway rides without any seats. In the rush of the New York beats, can you understand why the weekend is calling me? So I'm meeting up with friends tonight to celebrate this thing we call life. When I clock out of my 9 to 5, I'm gonna go out and have me a good time. Thank God it's Friday at the end of the